So it's not surprising, and I think there's a lot of talk of Hillary being pulled to the left because of Bernie, and I'd say yes to a certain extent, but also I'd say that the Democratic Party has become a lot more liberal.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason that she has the policies
I think that's right. If you look at the leadership of the Democratic Party, there are very few moderates. Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, the lady in Florida, Wasserman Schultz.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, yeah.
I mean, these are real bomb throwers on the left. But
it's not just that. It's not just that. If you look at the exit, but if you look at the exit polls, in on almost every single state, the number of people who are self-identifying as liberals is often 10 points higher than it was even in the last cycle. So the actual people who are voting are shifting much more in terms of what their belief system is. I'd like to see a nationwide poll on that, because whenever you have primaries, you get the motivated people coming out. You get the people who are real zealots. This is the Democratic Party base,
and the Republican Party as well. You get the zealots, all right? The independents often don't vote in the primaries. Primary voting is nothing like general election. But if you're going to say that the two Democrats running for president both favor pretty much abortion at any time for any reason, and they hide behind the women's health issue, but that could be a migraine headache. You know, okay, I don't want to have the kid, my boyfriend left me, my husband left me, whatever it may be, I got a migraine. Kid's going to be born next week. Let's get the
I don't think that many people get abortions because they have a migraine headache.
It doesn't matter. It's theoretical. When you have two candidates saying they don't want any limitations, all right, in the law place, all right, they don't want any. That can happen, and we know what happened in Kansas. Did that big investigation on Tiller. You know what happened there. And so that's so radical and so far away from what the American people want. That's just one example. And I don't think that a lot of the liberal voters understand what income redistribution really is. Bernie Sanders wants to run the economy. If he were president, the federal government would run it, not the private marketplace. They tell people how much they could earn. The tax rates would be crazy. And I don't think people understand that. Do you?
I don't think the tax rates are crazy.
Under Sanders, you don't think his proposals are crazy?
Sanders, I think, are out of the mainstream. I wouldn't call them crazy.
Out of the mainstream.
But Hillary's are in line pretty much with what the Democratic Party's position is, which if you want to talk about what most Americans support that. Going back to the Clinton-era tax rates, there's nothing radical or crazy about that.
If most If most Americans support that, then why are most governors Republicans, and they all run on lower taxes, fiscal responsibility? Doesn't stack.
Because I'm talking about federal taxes. I mean, they're talking about going back to
it's the same money going to the government's local, state, or federal. Doesn't stack.
But going back to the Clinton-era tax rates is not high taxes. That's the point. It's that the Republicans have such an extreme position on it.
In order to do that, you have to have taxes that are lights out. In order to give people free health care and free education and all of these things, you have to tax people up to here. And that's what they do in Scandinavia and other countries.
Well, okay, but if you want to talk about, you know, in Scandinavia and other countries,
well, that's what Bernie Sanders is talking about, and to some extent Hillary Clinton.
They pay quite a bit in taxes, but they get a lot. And the problem here is that people pay a lot in taxes and they don't get very much for it, and that's a problem. So you do actually get health care and free education and your retirement, you know, paid for, and all of these other things that we don't get.
Okay,
and that's
we don't get it because we have a different system and many more people.
Well, maybe we need to have a different system than where people.
Okay, well, that's what Bernie Sanders is saying. But if Bernie Sanders is elected president, he'd crash the economy, and it would be Armageddon because businesses would just pull out of here, and you know it. But Hillary Clinton, you don't know what she wants to do because you're right. She is running left to compete with Sanders. You know, in her past, she hadn't been a radical. Now she's a semi-radical. Last word.
She's a moderate.
A moderate radical.
She's a moderate.
Kind of a radical.
And,
a radical on Thursdays.
She's not even like a tiny bit radical.
Oh, come on.
She's just not.
The abortion stance alone is radical.
I think, well, in the Democratic Party, it's actually a fairly mainstream position.
Well, all right.
So
I mean, fine.
I think, yeah, she's not a radical. She's a moderate. I think that she's a panderer, and she's pandering. But I think she would be governed as a moderate. And I'm not even saying that that's a good thing. I'm just saying that I think that's what she would do.
Every panda all over the world just got angry at Kirsten.